If you've ever wondered why there are so many camera lenses to choose from, or why they cost so much, or even what the the millimeter on the camera lens actually means, then this video is for you. What is happening, people? My name is Gorav and I'm a travel and a wedding photographer based in Birmingham, England. If you haven't already guessed, this video is about camera lenses. It's not an in-depth tutorial on how to use all camera lenses. That's going to come at a later stage. Having said that, let's just get one thing out of the way. This is a question I get asked quite often. What does the millimeter on the camera lens actually mean? It's very simple, so that's why we're just going to get it out of the way. The number followed by the millimeter doesn't actually mean the length of the lens. It actually means the field of view. For example, 15mm would be a very wide field of view, whereas 200mm would be zoomed in significantly compared to the 15mm. Here are some examples of my back garden I photographed with a 15mm and a 200mm lens. So there are two types of lenses. There are prime lenses and there are zoom lenses. Prime lenses have a fixed focal length, for example 50mm. They would always stay at 50mm or 35mm or 85mm. It's always fixed, whereas zoom lenses will have a variable focal length, for example 24 to 70mm. That's all good, but why would you want to go for a prime lens when you can get a zoom lens and get the best of both worlds? Well, that's because prime lenses are known to produce sharper images than zoom lenses, and on top of that, you can get prime lenses with a really wide aperture such as 1.4 and even f1.2. With professional zoom lenses, you generally get aperture starting from f2.8. If you don't know what I'm talking about, do watch my video on aperture. I'll leave a link in the description below for you. So why is that? Why do zoom lenses not have a wider aperture and the prime lenses do? It's because prime lenses actually have less moving parts than zoom lenses. As you can imagine, when you focus a lens, you are physically moving the glass elements inside the lens. And on top of that, if you have zoom capability in your lens, you are further complicating things by adding more moving elements inside your lens. Therefore, it's very difficult to produce a zoom lens that has a very wide aperture such as f1.4. But that's not the only difference. These two lenses, for example, are both 50mm prime lenses, and look at the size in the lenses. One of them is a f1.8 and the other one is a f1.4, but still the size difference is significant, and that all comes down to the complexity of the lens and the glass elements inside it. And naturally, one of them costs a lot more than the other one because of this. Not only you get difference between zoom lenses and prime lenses, you also get a difference between prime lenses. So you can have the same focal length of prime lens, but they will vary in price, for example. Although if you're just starting off, you would assume that they're both 50mm, so they'll produce the same quality of image. That's not necessarily the case. So what about zoom lenses? You get different variety of zoom lenses too. So you get the cheaper end ones, which are generally called kit lenses, the lenses that you get with your camera when you buy your camera, or you can get the professional zoom lenses. And let me show you what the difference is. Apart from the quality, this also determines the price of the lens. This is a professional zoom lens. It's a 24 to 70mm zoom lens, so the focal range expands from 24mm all the way up to 70mm. However, the difference between this and the kit lens is that the aperture range for this lens starts from f2.8, and as you zoom in, it stays at f2.8, which is very wide. And that's very important to note. The aperture doesn't change, it will stay at f2.8 if you want it to, whereas with the kit lens, this is a 18 to 55mm, and if you look closely on these lenses, it says f3.5 to 5.6. That's because the aperture will change as you zoom in. So if you set the aperture to 3.5 and you zoom in, it will change to 5.6. So it's not very convenient if you want to shoot professionally. And that is one of the reasons why when you buy a new camera, these type of lenses are generally bundled up. And that is also the reason why they cost a lot less than the pro grade lenses. This is a very good lens to start off with, but just so you know, it's not a very good lens to shoot in low light with, because as you zoom in, like I said, the aperture will change from 3.5 to 5.6. So whenever you're looking to buy a new lens, I think it's important to determine what your budget is, and from there identify what you will be using your lens for. Personally, for me, I use a 24 to 70mm lens even when I'm traveling. I even have 2 of these lenses because this is my go-to lens for events like parties and weddings. So I hope this helps clear up a bit of the confusion around camera lenses, and I will be making a part 2 of this video, so this is only part 1. However, if there's anything that you're not sure about which I've discussed in this video, do go ahead and drop a comment below and I'll be happy to answer your questions. So I'm going to leave it here for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've gained any sort of benefit out of this video, do go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button, and be sure to share it with other people if you know they will benefit from this type of information. And I'll catch you in the next one.